A's. Okay.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Pure Cringe. We are two longtime friends, book lovers, and Bravo TV superfans. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we review books written by Bravo stars and rehash some of the greatest and trashiest moments in Bravo TV history. Welcome. I am Maria McQuaid.
And I am Michelle Barczykowski.
Oh my God, your name is like one of the, yeah. I was just going to say, can you spell that for everybody, Michelle? I have a song about it, but you probably have something better.
Oh, no, I don't have a song about it.
You don't have a song? I usually used to do like BARCZYKOWSKI. That's how I could always have my little.
Because it rhymes, yeah.
Yeah. Favorite Polish name ever.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like, didn't people used to call me Bitchikowski? I think that was pretty.
A teeny bit. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here with me to do some bitch-tastic commentary on this book, the Big Fun Sexy Sex book by Lisa Rinna and Ian Kerner, PhD. I don't know why, but I always put an extra sexy sex in there when I'm talking about it. I think because there's just so much fucking sex in this book. One might even say too much. So by way of introduction, let's talk about like who Lisa Rinna is. And for those of you that are expecting one of us to be doing, as we normally would, audio versus the physical book, I did not want to get this in audiobook because it is sort of a reference book. So I did buy a physical copy of this, and I did not highlight it at all. So
nothing worth highlighting?
No, hardly anything worth highlighting. So I know Lisa Rinna from her days as a soap opera star, but I didn't know anything about her career like post that. So do you want to share with everybody what's on the back cover sort of to explain like who Lisa Rinna is saying she is?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll just put in there that I really only remember her from Dancing with the Stars. I never watched soap operas, so I remember her from Dancing with the Stars. Yes, I don't think she won. She got booted out, but she worked really hard. I remember
she got far. Yeah.
She got very far. And I remember Brian and I watched it, and I think it was like when we first figured out that we had DVR, like on our TV, cable. We didn't know it. So we would record it and then like have dinner and watch it. So anyway, what's it say on the back?
Yeah, like what's like what's the grown-up version of Lisa Rinna? What are we supposed to buy?
Let's see. Well, she says, all right, so don't underestimate a real woman. Oh God, this book was just she's so gross. Anyway, how many times can we count sex in this like three-line blurb? So she's writing to us because, she wants to share great sex, her great sex. She wants to show you sex. She wants to give you tips. You want a cougar. I actually never really understood like where the term came from, cougar. I mean, did you ever understand that?
No.
Oh, so I guess it's like a stalk and pounce kind of animal.
Oh. Which feels very much like Rinna.
It could be a puma. I mean,
do you have the little blurb about her with the picture on like the inside of the back jacket where she's like Lisa Rinna, comma?
Oh,
the New York Times best-selling author.
I was like looking at the he says, she says, and
this cracks me up because this is what she really wants us to know about herself.
Okay, let's see. So it's the same fucking hairdo that she's always ever had.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Lisa Rinna, New York Times best-selling author of Renovation and Starlet, is an award-winning actress and television host, best known for her roles on Days of Our Lives and Melrose Place. Oh, I didn't know she was on Melrose Place. All right. As well as her co-hosting duties on Soap Talk, her appearances on Dancing with the Stars, and red carpet interviews on the TV Guide channel, and her TV Land reality show, Harry Loves Lisa. Well, I didn't know about that. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband, Harry Hamlin, and their two daughters.
See, that's why I wanted you to read it. I felt confident you didn't know about a lot of those things that she had done.
No, I think I knew her from Days of Our Lives. I think my mother watched that, and she looks familiar from there. And she's like a soap opera actress, right? They're kind of not really good actors, but then they always end up going on to get these amazing careers. I don't, I don't understand the genre, but she
Well,
kind
I
of,
think you can always see a good, like good soap opera actress will always be able to really vibe the line, "Get away from him, you bitch," like something like that. And she has that face
she
that she
does
looks
have
like
that
she's just
face.
said that line.
She looks like it always.
She literally just said that line.
Yeah.
So it feels very much like, yeah. I feel like when I look at this picture, the little mini bio is literally saying to me, she's a hustler. Like she's just, that's what people say about her is that she'll like, she'll go to the opening of an envelope. She'll take she'll take any part. I think there was a situation where she did a Depends commercial.
Yeah, she did a Depends commercial.
Yeah, and so I didn't know about some of this stuff. I knew about the soap opera stuff, but I didn't know about some of this stuff. And I actually had watched Lisa on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, so I was interested to sort of see what this like what kind of book she would write. But of course, I should have recognized that. Of course, she would have a co-author, right? So
Right.
she does have a sex therapist as a co-author. Thank God, grounding the whole cinch because I can't imagine what this would look like if she were just loose.
Oh yeah, it's like
Just,
it's just gross as it is, really.
yeah, I have to be honest. So, and there's a lot of different things that I'm sure we'll both talk about with this book, but I felt like if I had gotten this book maybe 35 years ago,
Yeah.
or I mean, I hate to say this, but I think that it is a great reference book for somebody who was young, yeah, or younger than myself, definitely. Although I will say there's a lot of stuff here that I know that the average woman might see and go like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's different." Your
Yeah.
average friend from Tulsa.
Yeah, no, and and I think, someone also again the average much younger than what we are, like maybe, I mean, I'm trying to think of like maybe when I was even like 35, like, maybe this book would have been helpful. But
Totally.
Maria, I just learned in the field. What can I say?
Well, that's the
I
thing.
just did
That's the
all this in the
thing.
field and figured
I
it out.
just, yeah, and I did mine online. So, so yeah. I do. I feel like this is a great book for like a young girl. I almost feel like you should get it when you graduate from college, or actually maybe when you enter college
Yeah.
nowadays. But I think that, and it's funny because there's a lot here that I was looking at and I was like, oh, right. Because, and I'm not sure if you know this, I feel like you might. I did sex toy parties.
That's so, yes, of course I remember. I was
Yeah, so that's right. So I saw
parties. Yeah.
yeah, I saw sex toys for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so many of the things that I'm seeing here are things that we would have been sharing with people during those parties or
Yes.
maybe privately in the room afterwards. But when I was younger, I mean, some of the things are sort of allowing you to, I think, maybe give yourself some grace if
Yes.
you're maybe not there with your libido. I love the idea that like they would say things like even if your relationship is strong, there's so many outside factors that put a damper on your desire and all of that other stuff. So I love the idea of them talking about that. I loved like some of the coaching around being in the moment. I thought that was always that was cool. But then then there are things where I was like, oh God. So for example, it's on page 132. And it is a list of places where you should, maybe think about having sex.
Oh, for
And
God's sake. Yeah. Come on now. You can't get
so
better than this, Lisa. You can't get.
So for those of you that haven't read the book, hopefully some of the folks that are listening have caught up and are reading the books along with us. But the list is this: if you're not looking at it, it's bedroom. It says ease your way out of bed and get frisky in a bedroom chair or in front of a full length or vanity mirror.
Okay.
Bathroom, your tub or shower can set the stage for fabulous foreplay, but we recommend saving intercourse for afterwards as water tends to wash away a woman's natural lubrication. Plus, there's nothing sexy about showing up at the ER after a sex-induced slip and fall. Men can also bend their partners over the sink for a private quickie. Honestly, there's something about that makes me want to punch someone. Dining room. Sweep those dishes onto the floor. Imagine. or for a less constructive
occupy
option.
the rest of my night. Yeah, right.
Make sure the table is bare. Yeah, this is a much younger woman's book because I think any woman over 40 is like, what? Armless chairs are also great choices for women on top position or for sexy lap dances. I'm imagining the average woman who's like, between 30 and say 45. And then I'm imagining her having sex in this next location, the door jam.
Yeah, right.
A door frame can give you much needed support during rush home and rip your clothes off standing sex. Kitchen, try out the countertop where your family eats. Just stay clear of the stove. I can't living room. The couch is a natural nookie spot. Just do a good cleanup before you have guests. Yeah, Michelle, please clean up before I come over.
Right. Can you please get that jizz spot off the
seriously? Next time I come over, I'm wearing my glasses. Porch. I love it. The sun porch. It's the lanai if you're one of the Golden Girls. Your balcony, your deck. When I saw that, so I have a couple of pages that stood out to me. That one I was like, damn, that is no. And some of the adventure situations, I don't know about you, but I am not a huge role play person.
No, I hate role play. I hate it.
There's just something I can't suspend my disbelief. So it's just there's just something about it. And so, it's fine, but then there are situations where, I thought it was cool where she talks about why it's not okay to fake, why it's really good to have open communication. So I felt like there was, for every list of obnoxious places to have sex, I felt like there was another page that was why you should know why it's not okay to fake, so that you can make sure that you actually enjoy yourself in bed. So I feel like there was somewhat of a balance, even though I think it was probably a little top heavy in terms of strange things that I think you either know, or that I was like, oh, do we have to see that written? Can we just, you know what I mean? I just felt like that whole chapter on adventures, pretending. Yeah, it's so, and then, but I will say I was excited that there is a whole section about anal sex.
Yep.
I thought that was important for the average bear.
It is, but I have to be really honest with you, because I love to check out you porn and see what people are coming up with.
Samesies, right? Yeah.
And I doesn't everybody I think already know about a lot of this stuff? At least the people I see on YouPorn. I have to assume that there's a large part of the population who's putting a lot more than penis up their bum. And you
would be surprised, Michelle. I'm not kidding. If I had a dime for every woman in the after party that in the ordering room would want to talk about something that seemed to me to be under the category of the painfully obvious. Do you know what I mean? That's why they had the booty numbers. They had all that stuff there that we would have people try it. I would actually put a little dab on everybody's finger, have them taste it, and then when their tongue got numb, I would tell them that's what it was for. I think it was called anal ease, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Anal ease. Yeah. And so I think it's important because you can really get jacked up and get hurt. So I do think it's important. And I will say, honestly, I didn't know anything about the prostrate until my very good friend Michael explained it to me one day, because we were talking and I was like, Michael, I don't understand. How do you even, because he was a bottom. And I was like, how do you even enjoy sex? I'm confused. Does it feel good? Because it's, not 100% my jam. Mm-hmm. And he talked to me a lot about the prostate. And, so I think it's great that information is here. But you're right. I don't have much of a sense as to how much of this people already know.
I don't know. Again, I think, when I was 20, I think this would have been fucking fascinating to me. I probably would have gone really horny.
I would have gone to your house and been like, wait, don't turn the page yet.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Seriously, I think there was and so just reading it now, after many. Sorry, my dog. Can you hold on a second? Hold on. First, she wants to go out. Okay. Mm-hmm.
The thing is both of our dogs are evil monsters when they want to be.
All right. Sorry. What now?
I said either of our dogs could be monsters when they want to be. Casey
Yeah,
just happens to be.
she was going to stand there and scratch at the door. I think she knows how to open it, but she prefers to see me move. And she was going to stand there and just scratch at it. She's done this to me before. So,
Best to take care of it.
yeah. All right. So, so what were we saying about,
so can I ask, do you think like, so to me, I mean, I hate to say this, but I think this is a great reference book.
It is a good reference book. I
for
think
someone who's much younger.
For someone who's much younger. And also I do like that she put in the stuff about not feeling sexy after babies, not feeling sexy with menopause. And because that's like it's like just a lot of stuff that people don't talk about. So like if you're younger and you're reading that, that's like keep that in the back of your mind for years down the road. So in terms of like a reference book, I mean, at a certain point in my life, I probably would have had this on my shelf, next to like Our Bodies, Ourselves or something.
I was just thinking, is this the adult Our Bodies, Ourselves?
Maybe. I mean, yeah.
Is there something you would compare this to? Like, I mean, I don't want to say a Kama Sutra because that's, but I feel like this, I mean, I didn't think I would be this complimentary towards anything involving Lisa Rinna, but I feel like it's a pretty well-balanced book.
It is. So, I had a really hard time getting through it. I didn't finish the whole thing because it was just because I can't stand her. Right. But also because it's just like her voice comes through like in everything. And but also it was just, to me, it was a reference book. So it's one of those books that like I would have looked up a chapter and read the chapter when I wanted to, kind of thing.
Yes.
So the idea of having to go through it cover to cover, again, it was like a total reference book. So yeah, I am kind of surprised to be talking about it, that it would be a good reference book. But, and I also think, I mean, I wonder how well the publication did, how many people bought it did you have?
I don't think, well, I don't know. So yeah, so I don't think it went super well in terms of, I don't think it was like a big bestseller. It wasn't like, I think it was popular because she is well known too. It wasn't like something that like, was not exactly like an Oprah's book of the month.
Right.
But she does do well enough. She's like niche because of the soap opera too, right? You have that massive following. And then those are the same people who buy her books, or the same people who went on to QVC and bought her stuff. Yeah. That's another thing. She's a pretty clever entrepreneur, but and I also have to say, I'm sure that that this gentleman here, Ian Kerner, is responsible for, if not half, more than half of this information and the way it's presented. So I think that, I'm sure that he's keeping her sort of in line.
Yes, I think he's sort of guided it. I definitely, I feel that like these were through their conversations, and because her stuff is written like, in a very kind of just like a level above a conversational manner, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I feel like it was like one of their sessions, and, or a dozen of their sessions, and they just took notes from it.
Yeah, probably. And honestly, I was the same as you. I didn't sit down and read it like a novel. I found that I couldn't, because it just clearly presents to me in that way. So for example, I skipped the chapters or the areas that talked about like, kids.
I did a lot of skipping. Did a lot of skipping. Yeah, sure.
But then, but then there were certain things like titles of things would jump out at me, and I'd be like, what the heck is that? And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was this thing at the end called the 10-step sex workout. Did you see this?
Yes.
So this is one of my favorite parts.
Opening to that. Hold on.
This is one of my favorite things. So I love this. Sexercise number 1, solo mission.
Yep.
When you're in a long distance relationship, you or your partner are coping with a low libido, or you're in a sex rut. I think that stuff like this, and in the right time, in the right place, I think stuff like this can be super helpful for people who on their own aren't really in this space, or aren't comfortable in this space.
Right.
And honestly, the information about things like blowjobs, while that's not like my thing, I mean,
Maria, do you remember I showed this to you last time we talked? 114 and 115. It's actually, the spine is cracked open.
So tell me, so like, so tell everybody. So when you got this book,
yes, the first thing I noticed. Well, I like to flip through and see if there's pictures. I always do that first.
right.
But then I was like, oh, what's this? Like the spine just kind of fell open, and it's page 114 and 115. Let your fingers do the talking, and basically it's about different kinds of blowjobs. And she's got the juicer.
So some hand jibbers and blowjobs.
Yes, it's all or like mostly like things to do with your hands and your mouth with the blowjob, right? So then she's got a method called infinite vagina. Then there's one like clock. With
That's going to be my roller derby name.
Yeah, clock.
Infinite vagina.
Infinite vagina. With your hands working the reverse vagina. Joe, I guess there's a reverse vagina too.
That can be your roller derby name. Your reverse vagina. I want to be
even say it. I said reverse vagina. Oh God. And then blow his mind. There's one sex act that women seem to disagree about is fellatio. Some of you love performing it, while others find it an unappealing chore. But then, so she sort of gives like these tips on like, kind of like, how to get over it. Cause then she says, all right, let's face it. We know that there's different camps on how people feel about this. How can you overcome your reservations? So, I think I would have liked a little bit of this advice 20 years ago.
Same, right? Like even just to be able to understand a little bit more about anatomy.
Yeah. Or like, what? Actually, like your balls smell at the end of the day, right? That's a natural thing. Let's wash them.
Allow us to dip our balls in it. Honestly, so I have to say, whenever I see fellatio, I always think back to a date I went on many years ago with I almost just said his entire name, and then I realized you could bleep it or do something to it. But I'll just give his first name. So with Sal. And we went to a Chinese restaurant on Route 1 in Saugus. And the lady came over, this Asian woman came over to take our order. And you could tell because when she said that she was there to take our order, asking us what we wanted, her English was really, really, really heavily accented. So you could tell that she was like, her English was not awesome. We'll say it. That's the kindest way I can say it. And so Sal, realizing this, because he was kind of a smart ass, he was like, I'd like to order some fellatio, please. And I just looked at him and I was like, because this was the kind of thing that would happen when we would go out. I'd be like, son of it, because he was just trying to make me laugh. And I was like,
really high.
And I looked at him, and then the girl is writing something down, and I'm like, what the fuck is he even ordering? And then I was like, I looked at him, I'm like, should I get some cunnilingus? He's like, I think you should. I was like, you should. He's like, live a little. Like we were really, it was so. And when we got food, the food that we got, I don't even know what it was. It was something in like a weird brown sauce. I made him eat it.
Which fellatio, which was cunnilingus. Like
I have no idea. Like literally, like because when she went away, I remember being like, "What the fuck?" And so he would do that. He would do that all the time. He would do that all the time. And so whenever I see the word fellatio or someone says it, I always think back to that. To that one thing. I'd like to order some fellatio, please. And I was honest to God, like you could have knocked me over with a feather. You could just talk to me. But yes, like if I had honestly like had this, I may have even given more blowjobs. You know what I love is there's an actual name here that I think is defines every blowjob I've ever given, which is it's a martyr blowjob. But I'm the martyr, I feel like, not him. So
oh yes, exactly. You're
I'm the fucking martyr.
Yeah.
But I love the name of the ones, like the slow dance, the frappe.
Which is a really fast foot movement ballet, right? That's frappe.
Yeah. Actually, that's true. I think this might just be frappe. Creamsicle, powerhouse, hot and cold. That actually, the hot and cold thing is real. It actually reminded me of when we used to demonstrate glass toys, and we would tell people that they could put them in the microwave and heat them up, or or put them in the refrigerator. I mean, it's all good information, right? Like, yeah, I think that woe is us, Michelle, that we waited until 2023 to do this fucking podcast. That's how important it is that we continue this podcast, because we are coming upon information that we frankly should have had 35 years ago.
We should have had. Well, and I had to learn in the field. It was real difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I would have loved this. At 18, I would have been like, what? Oh my God.
I would have gone out. Well, okay, let's see. I got like my top 10 tips for mind-blowing fellatio, right?
Yeah. Oh, I would have been
number one.
I would have been, who. I would have turned into the her. Yeah, I wish we could get in touch with her and see if she actually read this book. Maybe that's what made her the way she is. Interesting. Connections. It's all about connections, Michelle. So I think that this book is actually maybe a little bit different from like the Heather Gay story, right? Bad Mormon.
Yeah.
And maybe leaning a little bit more towards, in Bethanyville. I think this is actually a pretty good book in terms of what it is. Like, so is it a novel? Absolutely not. But I think it's a pretty good reference book. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good reference book. But again, I think for the purposes of like what we were doing, it was real torture for me to get through it. But I'm glad to hear you say that you felt the same way, because I would never again like pick up a reference book and read it cover to cover. We could have used an index in here.
I actually marked pages and did tabs.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I wanted to be able to come back and talk about, sections and stuff. Because there were whole sections where I was like, no, like the whole section about porn. I was like, nope, I love you, porn, bye. And then just moved on to the next one. So I think,
was it like don't watch porn? It'd like be a
no, but there were a couple of sentences that were like a little bit like, men might get the wrong. Oh, and I was like, okay, next. Yeah.
Well, but she does have a point, though. She has a point. I mean, when you really think about it, like,
is that a thing? You tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's like, I think like, like teenage boys like walk around like thinking that like all girls can just like swallow a dick, and they all love it. And it's it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's, because these are people who are just, they've made a set for it. This is what they're going to do. And, it's got nothing to do with like a relationship and how you feel about people and how you get to know people. It's just, I think there's like, I think a lot of like young people think that like, everybody has anal sex. When are they going to have anal sex? So I
really, that is terrifying.
Yeah. If when you think about it that way, and I think about it like in terms of my kids, I'm just like, you can't hover over everything that they do. And so I can only imagine what's been out there. I remember the first time that like, I saw porn, when I had like a dial up, I was fascinated with like what they would put on the internet. So if I put myself back in that situation, she does have a point there, but we can't discount it altogether. But yeah.
And I think she's talking about it, taking away from the relationship. And so maybe it's watching too much and I think some people do go down a rabbit hole with it.
Well, they do. And then like when it comes to like, being with a human, it's like their parts don't work.
Well, that's, I thought that was cool that was covered, like the male arousal stuff, female arousal stuff. I mean, yeah. I mean, I really don't enjoy Lisa Rinna as like a television personality.
No.
And I never have. But I have to say that I think so far out of the 3 books that we've done, I think not for me, for obvious reasons, but I think for, God, I wish I knew somebody. Like I'm thinking now, I'm like, I'm not going to keep this book, but like, who the fuck am I giving? I think I'm going to give it to my friend Sarah. Hopefully she won't ever listen to this, but she's, Sarah from book club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think she would actually like this. Like she's, younger. She's in her, early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
She's single, she's into it. And I think that this would be something like cool for her to have. But
so she's single, like into it. You mean like she dates a lot?
No, I think she wants to date a lot.
Oh, okay. Because what you made me think of is I wonder if people who like, date a lot, like perpetually date a lot, there's only really like so far you get like with a relationship, and not everybody has anything you can touch in this book. So it's like these are a lot of things that people do when they like trust each other for a long time. So I was just thinking if she was a person who just kept dating and never really got serious.
No, she's coming off of, she just got a divorce.
Oh,
and she was
okay.
been married for like 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm sure like similar to you, I'm sure that she has learned in the field, but I always see her as somebody who's like very sexually like open. It's funny whenever I'm out with her, Sarah and Lucille, and Lucille and I are very much like, we're tired old ladies. We're like, no, thanks. We're good.
Uh-huh.
Good, 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 good. And, I think Sarah would still like to date and do the things.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
But I can't think of anybody else though, who I would give this book to. And I do think that this book would be good for someone. So
would it be good for, my 15-year-old?
Oh, so this is the thing. I was thinking when you were talking about that before, when you're talking about kids, I was just like, and this is like a really weirdly sexist thing too, but this really was my response, which was thank God that you have boys.
Oh.
Right? Like that was like my real response is like, thank God we don't have to worry about a lot of this shit because
yeah, I mean, I do.
Dudes.
Because guys can be such assholes when they're young. So I just,
Totally.
so I hope I'm doing my part in making sure that I have boys that are not assholes to girls.
Yeah, I mean, your kids are sensitive no matter what. But
I hope so. Although, even like if like the most sensitive person, you start getting involved sexually with somebody, and there's like all feelings that come into it. She didn't really talk about a lot of feelings in this book.
This is a manual. It's
very practical.
Yeah, I really do. And honestly, I think that I feel like I want to get in touch with her and I want to say like, okay, Lisa, hot take. Get rid of a few of these chapters, update the book a little bit because it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
Right. It's actually, no, it's 10 years old. It's copyright 212. And get rid of some of the chapters in this book. Put in a couple of maybe not pictures, but a couple of drawings for a couple of the things that she's talking about here, and then put it on, make it spiral bound, like make it like that nice laminated paper, and make it spiral bound so that people can use it while they're having sex.
Right.
So she like illustrates some of these cool positions that she's talking about, but like, put it on some laminated paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is actually pretty good. So I will say for the book, I'm glad we did it. I am even more excited though, because that I secretly want you to do like a rewatch with me of some old seasons of Housewives.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But I am so glad that I was able to send you a clip. I wanted to go over what I think is like a super iconic scene that involves Lisa Rinna. And it's one of those things that I don't think even when I first saw it, I don't think I realized how fascinating it is. But this was really interesting. So Lisa, of course, was just recently left the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She was on it for quite a few years. And this was relatively early on in her tenure. This is season 5, I think, of the Real Housewives.
When did she come in? Like season 3?
I think she came in season 4. Yeah. Or maybe even season 5. That might have been even her first season. And that was a season, I don't know if you noticed, but around the table, this is the Amsterdam trip.
Yeah.
And so for context, all of the women from that season are at dinner in Amsterdam, and it is a massive cast.
Hey, wait, and who are the women? Like,
so it is Kim Richards.
Yep.
Escape from Witch Mountain. Kyle Richards, Escape from My Sister's Mountain.
And Halloween. Don't forget Halloween.
Halloween. Oh my God. Fuck yeah. She's somewhere right now going, oh my God, Halloween. Brandy Glanville, the artist formerly known as Eddie, was it Cibrian's first wife? Oh, he's now married to Leanne Rimes. Yeah. He cheated on her, Brandy, with Leanne Rimes. Okay. Eileen Davidson.
And really,
also
Eileen, did you know her from anywhere?
I knew she was a soap opera actress as well. Same thing with like Lisa. Like I didn't watch their soaps. Like I think they were on either Channel 4 or Channel 7, and my Nana watched Channel 5. My grandmother was the person who decided, and we watched like Ryan's Hope, One Life to Live. No, Ryan's Hope, All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital. Those
Yeah,
were the
so
ones.
my mother was a Channel 5 gal. That's the
Yeah,
lineup.
all the way, all the way. Upshaw all the way. And so Eileen, I don't know if she's a Days of Our Lives or Young and the Restless, something like that. She's also like Lisa Rinna, a little bit of like soap opera royalty. She's been on soap operas forever, and I think still maybe was at the time that she was shooting this too. Lisa Rinna, of course, and then Lisa Vanderpump, and one of my favorites, Yolanda Hadid.
Yes.
And what sucks is we don't get to see in this scene Yolanda, who cracked me up when she was on it. I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah.
She was one of my favorites, but I love, especially because now knowing that her children grow up to be like Gigi and and Bella, when she would talk about her kids and Anwar, she would talk about her kids and she would say Anwar, Gigi, and Adawan.
Yeah.
So she used to just crack me up. So had
you
seen this episode before at all or no?
Oh yes, because I was obsessed with everything Yolanda. She brought it, whether she meant to or not. You know what I mean? Like
it was accidental every time, Michelle. Don't fucking lie. It was
first of all,
she's the accidental tourist.
First of all,
sure.
She's gorgeous, and she was so gorgeous as a model. And when I found out she dated Julio Iglesias, she said that in one episode. I was like, no, she went into like stardom.
Now it's like royalty. it's like she slept with Prince Charles or about King Charles.
Julio Iglesias. I looked it up on the internet. I saw a picture of them. Like she was really young, and he was, Julio. Like he's like the same always.
Sweaty and apologetic, as I would say.
Dressed in white and tan, yeah. So, yeah, and so was that it? Was that the
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
And what's her name? So Erica wasn't on it yet. She came on like the next season, I think.
No, yeah, thank God. I mean, because Erica's like, oh, you can always hear her in the background because she's like, what? Wait, talking about you? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
Andy. Don't fuck that. Don't fuck that.
Tom broke his ankle. Yeah, snow in Pasadena.
She was a real trailer park. But wait, no, didn't Yolanda bring her on? Wasn't that connection? Yolanda brought on Erica.
I don't know now that we're having this conversation.
I know that they were friends outside of this. So Yolanda came first, right?
Which came first? Yes, Yolanda comes first.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that you're saying that, I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just this whole scene was incredible to me because I feel like I didn't remember there being so much like, because you don't recognize it when it's happening, but there was so much like housewife power at that table. I was like, fuck.
There was, and everybody played their roles really well. Like if you think about it, I thought that this was a real foreshadowing to like what absolutely every character fell into. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like I felt
who
like
they became.
Yes, like I saw this scene and like looking back, I'm like, this is when Lisa started doing this. So you know how Lisa likes to start the shit and just sits there and looks.
Yep.
Doesn't say anything. Like it's like for me, I feel like she started there. Kyle really brought on, how she's the abused little sister and with the running rain crying.
Well, I'll tell you, what I sent you was like a YouTube clip, but I couldn't have edited it in terms of picked the
right
start and end spots better myself, because it like opens up and it's already shit is already heated. Yes. So for context, for anybody who doesn't know, the whole point of contention that is coming to a head on this episode and in this dinner is that people think that Kim Richards, who is allegedly at this time sober, we now know, I think, that she was not, but that's what she's maintaining at the time. She's saying that she's sober. Rinna, I also think Eileen, and maybe even at some points, Yolanda, they were all talking a little bit during the previous episodes leading up to this about whether or not she was sober, because she had done some crazy stuff. There was a night where she was very jacked up.
In the night that comes up in this, where she was very jacked up, she says she took some sort of medication that didn't work well with her. But if you remember that episode, they showed her, she was just slurring. she was just
literally, yeah. And so it's like, it's terrible. I have a mixed feeling about this because it was hard to watch Kim Richards unravel over these shows, but it was also fascinating.
Yes.
And I think this was even more fascinating to watch now with all the time that had passed.
Yes.
And all the context.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So,
right. Because it really, it's like I said, it foreshadows like the road that they were all going to go down, and like what positions they were always going to stand.
They're stating their majors, aren't they? It's like, they're like, I'm going to,
my thesis statement is, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like, I'm thinking liberal arts with a concentration in backstabbing. Okay. Yeah, so it opens up with Lisa, and she's very emotional. And one of the funniest things is that Lisa is really, she's very emotional. But
I think that's
her voice is shaking.
I think it's fake. Don't you think so?
Well, she is an actress.
Yeah, she's
right.
Yeah.
So she's crying, and she's saying that, she's talking about, how, things feel, very, very upsetting for her because she's dealing now with feelings about having lost her sister when she was 6 years old to a drug and alcohol overdose. And while she's saying this, they keep cutting back to Kim. And I don't know if you noticed this, but Kim is looking at her, and I don't fucking think she blinks.
No.
She is looking at her. I wish the guy from Drunk Drawn would go back and watch that, because I would love to see what he does with her fucking eyes. They are like Ramona eyes. They're like wide open, lined really heavily.
And they're black, right?
Yes. And so Lisa says she has deep-rooted issues. She's crying, but Kim is staring at her, not blinking. And so she apologizes, and she says to Kim, I'm sorry for coming at you about some of your addictions, right? Because, of course, like I said, Lisa thinks that Kim fell off the wagon because she had. And so just like any other conversation, you would think that somebody would get like, oh, it's no problem. But literally, Kim, still unblinking, looks at her and says, well, you have.
Sometimes you wonder like why somebody has to say something, but oh, she's so fucked up. We get this great episode. I know. It's like she could have said anything else, but she had to say that, which was, she could barely get that out of her mouth, right?
Like everything, she's so trying so hard to like show that she is sober, but she's so clearly fucked up. And she reminds me of like when you're high as a kid in like high school, and you're trying to not show that you're high, and you try to open your eyes really wide.
Yeah.
You overcompensate and you look insane.
Yes, you do.
That's what I felt like. Everything she said, I felt like, oh my God, like she's trying to have a fucking sidebar here with people.
Right.
So she starts to explain. So she starts to explain, and it's so funny. I had to take notes so that I could figure out what the Christ was happening. So once she says, well, you have, she starts to explain. And so she says that she's been sober for 3 years.
Right. Bullshit.
Right. And that the other night she took something for pain. It didn't work. And she says that if something was really wrong, that her other friends at the table and her sister, meaning Kyle, would have talked to her about it. And that what she's pissed about is that Lisa didn't come to her directly. She talked about her. Mm-hmm. And that she's mad at Eileen and Rinna, saying that they grilled her. Like, who's your sponsor? Did you go to rehab?
Right.
Shit like that.
Right. And, to be totally honest with you, just based on how she was, like in that prior episode, she was out of her mind. I mean, so I don't know. I don't, whatever. Yeah. She's just trying to, she's trying to kill the pain,
It was so weird. Well, and her deflecting skills, though, for someone who's on something. So what happens now, I thought was really interesting. Yeah. I thought this was a really cool Matrix move. Like she kind of was like sidestepped it. So Kim says, she turns it on her and she goes, well, I'm concerned about you. She says to Lisa.
Right.
And I swear to God, some of this was like, I'd never seen it before. I was like, oh, she says that. And she says, your situation at home.
Yeah. And then
I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Right. Well, because then it turns into what would happen. No, then Yolanda said, I want to just kind of step in here.
No, that's way later. So next is when she and Eileen go nuts.
Oh, yes.
So that next is when, because she says to Eileen starts to say, because when she says to Lisa, I'm concerned about your situation at home, Eileen steps in and starts to defend Rinna. And that's when Kim comes unglued. And she screams at Eileen and she says, you shut your fucking mouth. I've had enough of you, you beast.
You beast.
She goes, you beast. And when she's talking, I don't know if you noticed this, she's pointing. She practically touches Eileen.
Yeah.
Like her face is, her finger is beyond like how you would even be angry and be pointing on your side of the table.
How she's Eileen like pointing even sit still for that, right? Yeah.
She's like pointing from sitting on Eileen's lap. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so as soon as she says, you beast, Eileen, I mean,
clutches her pearls.
Best actress, beast. How dare you? It's very Marilyn. How dare you?
How dare you?
She goes, I don't like you. And honestly, and then they play like some weird Atlanta Sheree Marlowe thing where that one goes, I don't like you. And then Kim goes, I don't like you either. And then Eileen goes, I can't find one damn thing I like about you. And also, by the way, I don't know if I told you, I have captions on while I'm watching.
Yes, yeah.
So of course I have to have it. And so literally Kim goes, I don't like your face or your attitude.
Yeah, I love that. I don't like your face. Thank you for saying that.
And then we see Kyle and she is like having a fucking conniption. Did you see her like crying into her napkin?
Yeah, the poor thing. I mean, Kyle knows her sister is an addict, and she's probably so fucking sick of having to have this conversation about Kim, right? I mean,
she keeps saying, "What's wrong with you?"
She knows what's wrong. Yeah, I mean, and again, like I know, like dealing with people like that, when everything just turns around, it's just always about them. And so I'm sure Kyle's just like sick of it because that's a manipulative, like alcoholic thing to do. So I'm sure that's what Kyle's thinking, like, oh, again, what's wrong with you? Like, again, just on repeat.
You can tell Kim wants her to defend her. Kim is like, I feel like she feels the pressure of Kim wanting to do that. And then Kim actually looks at Kyle and says that Brandy, who, if we go back, accused her of smoking meth or something.
Yes.
She says that Brandy defends her more than Kyle does.
Yeah, that was a real shitty thing to say. That was really shitty.
And then we have a call out to Kathy, who will actually materialize on the show like 10 years later.
Yeah.
And she says that Kathy would have had her back. Like a real sister. That was a quote. I had to write that down.
Maria, I have to tell you, like as a three sister bunch.
Yeah.
That would warrant a fucking punch right there. Like that saying, like,
Michelle, talk about that. Like I don't have any framework for this, but you have the exact
for this. Just like to pit like a sister against a sister. And I never had that much drama just because we had like many years apart from us, but there was a little bit of it. And it was, you would, your sister would never do this to me. It's like, how a kid would play off both parents, dad would go do this for me and mom would buy this for me kind of thing. It's like that, but with, people who are closer to your age. So it's just pitting one against the other. I can't even imagine.
Did you ever get in a fight with your sisters like that?
Yeah. For sure. And because one sister was perpetually the asshole, and it actually was really like that. but and to say it, it's like a real low blow. Like really, it's just your sister. And I think never.
Because, and especially Kathy, right? Because the context with Kyle and Kathy was that is so close. Yeah, because that is so close to the time when Mauricio, Kyle's husband, leaves the real estate agency that he was working at with Rick Hilton, Kathy's husband. He leaves and he finds his own called The Agency, and he takes his clients with him allegedly.
Yes, and that's that's kind of a big no-no in a lot of ways.
Yeah, ixnay on that.
Yeah, and but yeah, so I'm sure he had to do what he had to do kind of thing, but that stuff does happen. Yeah.
And I think that's why it hurts more, because I think that's why it was even more of a nasty dig for Kim to bring up Kathy, because I think Kathy and Kyle already have just such a at that point already, even it's a really bad relationship.
Yes. Yes. And we're just kind of starting to learn that now. It just comes out in bits and pieces.
Exactly. And then so as soon as that happens, as soon as she says, Kathy would have my back like a real sister, Rinna jumps in back into to sort of, I think she has like a weird kind of hero complex. So she jumps in to defend Kyle, and she tells Kim she shouldn't talk to her sister that way. Kim says, you don't understand our relationship. And so then Lisa says, it's not okay to talk to anyone like that. And then Kim says a version of what I sent you earlier, which was Rinna, eat some dinner.
Eat some dinner. Yes, like, why don't you have some bread?
She says, have a piece of bread and calm down a little. That's the exact thing she says. And so that's to poke fun, obviously, at, Lisa Rinna allegedly having an eating disorder.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, for someone who is really fucked up, Kim Richards must be an incredibly intelligent person, because even a little bit addled, she's pretty clever at the way that she's kind of moving through this. And so this is when Yolanda pops in and says, can I interfere?
Yeah. And then and I didn't really understand. I forgot.
The other one. She says, where's the other one? Anwar is here. Gigi is here. Where's the other one?
So,
is she in the freezer with the lemons? Get her out of the lemons.
My lemon trees.
My lemon trees.
I made you lemon
my refrigerator.
The lemon trees.
Get the other one out of the refrigerator. David, where's David? Oh, David married somebody else. Oh no.
What was she saying? My love.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, suddenly I made her Jamaican. I'm not sure how that happened, but yeah, she was like, my love. So creepy.
Brad and I did that to each other for years. My love.
So scary. But I agree. I love Yolanda. I thought she was like a breath of fresh air, because she was so very, like, not even that she doesn't give a fuck, but like in a way that only a non-native English speaker can be, where she's like, I really don't even understand the words that I'm using, so fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because, her culture is just very down to earth. Everything's very matter of fact. So, there's like way better shit to argue about, and they realize that. So, So, and I think like she also, she's, for as long as she's been in this country, there's a lot of like sort of colloquial speak that she just doesn't get. So a lot.
Oh yeah, right.
Head, yeah.
There's so many. I mean, I hate to say it, yeah. She just cracks me up, and I think she really does mean well. I just love the. It's like the same reason why you like to watch the Pink Panther. So she starts. Yolanda says that she understands Lisa's sensitivity. She's trying to explain it to Kim. I don't think I ever really noticed this before, Michelle. Did you? When you watched this before, did you really pay attention to this and hear what they were saying? Because
no,
I didn't.
And I didn't. But also, I don't understand the conversation that Yolanda's referring to in that blurb. Like, I don't recall what happened before.
So allow me to help you. So what she says is, she says, can I interfere? And then she says she understands Lisa's sensitivity, and she's trying to say to Kim, she's talked to Lisa about this before, and Lisa has confided in Yolanda that Harry lost two of his brothers.
Right.
And that Harry, and this I did not ever hear until the other night when I first listened to this or watched this, that Harry is only recently sober.
Yes, I didn't know that either.
3 years. What a coinky dink, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that is so Kim doesn't hear that. And then she finally says, let's talk about the husband. That's when that whole thing happens. Now I feel like I finally get it. Because before I never understood. I was like, is she trying to insinuate? I always thought, and I don't know why I thought this now that I'm going to say this out loud, but I always thought she was insinuating that Harry was gay. I don't know why really? I thought that.
Oh.
Yeah. And now I realize what she's saying is like, Harry drinks.
Yes.
Or Harry's off the wagon, or something's happened with Harry. And so Kim actually says, and I actually wrote across my notes, I finally get it. Kim actually says, let's not talk about what you don't want out. So maybe there was an arrest for DUI that got swept under the rug.
Exactly what I thought. Yeah.
Something like that. And then Eileen is like, you are a scary, vicious human being.
Yes. You did that really well.
I mean, how dare you?
Oh, I love that.
Because she
Oh,
just,
that's good. That's good.
her how dare you just really is too much. Because it's just too much. It's so polished. And then Lisa freaks. And so she stands up and starts screaming and starts talking about, don't talk about my husband.
Yeah.
And then she kind of halfway sits.
I bet he was in rehab or something.
So, like, it had to be something like that.
Yeah.
But it hit such a nerve in her
It did.
that when she
that's
sort of like
why I was thinking like rehab, it's something deep because it triggered her, right?
yeah. And like when she stands up, and I don't know if you saw this. I never saw this before. I swear to God, Michelle. She fucking reaches for her throat and almost grabs it.
Yes, that's right.
She gets very close. Did you see how close she gets?
Yes, very close.
I think if this happened today, we would be listening to the Watch What Crappens. Shout out to those guys that we love. We would be listening to the Watch What Crappens guys do what we're doing now, which is break down this scene moment by moment. Talk about it like they do with every fight. Like I think this would have been, because honestly, when I saw that, I was actually like a little bit afraid.
Oh yeah.
Well, because when I saw it, I was like, fuck, she like really comes close to grabbing her throat.
Yes.
Like if you do that with me, like you're going to be missing some teeth. Yeah. So like it was like I could not get over it. And that's when Kim stands up and starts to threaten her. So Lisa stands and grabs the glass and says, don't ever talk about my husband. And so Brandy reaches out with her hand to try and stop it. And that's when Lisa throws water and also smashes a glass.
Yes, the smash in the glass did it for me. I was like, she's a bad bitch.
Right. So like, I really feel like, and I know this is not the same as a lot of the other like fights, quote unquote, that we've seen on Bravo, where people have been really physical and have actually touched each other. However, I felt like this one, to me, now that I'm watching it back, and like the viciousness of it, and like to me, this feels like as bad, maybe not as bad as Monique and
well, I was gonna say
and Candace on but like I do feel like
set the bar for me. Do you know what I mean? Like set the bar for me in terms of like what I want, and that second to last episode or last episode, like what fight I want, and that set the bar for me. Because the only other one that I comes to mind is the Monique Dragon Candace, which was also epic.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to someday. When we're doing some folks in Potomac, we'll destroy that episode as well.
It was a good fight. It was a fantastic fight.
This one didn't feel fantastic.
You don't think so?
For me, I think it's because Kim is involved. I think it's because I fundamentally feel like Kim is not like as intelligent as I think she is, and she clearly is. I think that Kim is not able to compete at the same level because she's doping, So I think she's on the show for different reasons. And I think every one of them is on the show for a different reason, but I think Kim is on the show because she needs to be on the show.
Oh, because she needs the money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that we're not getting Kim at her best.
That did come out later that she was not making great money, right? So
yeah. And so we're not seeing Kim at her best, and I not that I only want to see somebody when they're at their best, but I think that we're seeing her, at her very worst.
But I think her worst is her best. I love it. So, and I also.
Oh yeah, she's fucking awful. That's the whole thing. Like it's the cringe factor. I
also know that, she's got that addict thing where she's very good at manipulating people, and she can barely get the words out of her mouth, but she knows exactly what. I mean, I feel like she's got these patterns, and she understands how to manipulate the situation to just get, because she deflects, right? And she does her matrix move there. So.
But matrix is a verb,
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes you have to matrix your way out of something.
So I think she's I think this is what she does. I think she probably does this when she's sober too. I think she's just mad.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, apparently because she had to she was the movie star that supported everybody as a child star.
You stole my goddamn house.
Yeah. So
yeah. No, I think Yeah, I feel like this little scene says as much about Kim as it does about Rinna. I wasn't expecting to see that side of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this particular scene I think is very indicative of like Lisa going from, trying to be a little bit vulnerable, like faux vulnerable, and trying to kind of control the situation,
Yeah.
to then when it gets out of control, her like flying off the handle, or
Yeah.
her rage. So it reminds me, I mean, it's like just a different version of her when she was like, pecking at Kim Richards, when she was just like, ooh, you're angry. You know what I mean? Like just very,
Well, that's what she does. That's her state before she just loses her shit, right? She starts with those, yeah, ooh, you're angry thing. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's part of the escalation. It's really good.
it really, honestly, it is. And I hate to say it because like I said, I don't typically enjoy Rinna. I especially don't enjoy later Rinna. Early Rinna before she started playing a game and when she was still herself and not a caricature of herself.
Yes. Yeah. Things
Like
got
she is
weird.
like she is now.
Yeah.
But I think that early Rinna was the best Rinna. But yeah, I think I have to say I think that episode I feel like I might want to rewatch that entire episode
Mm-hmm.
because I was feeling some nostalgia vibes.
Yeah.
For our listeners, my hope is that I can eventually convince Michelle into doing a rewatch of like a very early, maybe Jersey, since she has not watched Jersey, which I can't freaking believe. Maybe doing a season one rewatch of Real Housewives of New Jersey. That's my influence point, Michelle. So just be aware.
Wow.
That's what I'm working towards that
Well,
with you.
I just can't get into them. I feel that I might have been around a lot of that when I was growing up. And
Same.
it's hard for me to go back and enjoy it. I don't know.
I will say Real Housewives of New York would also be amazing because I think what would be fun to do a rewatch would be one that premiered and was sustained before things got crazy with glam. Because I
Oh,
think
yes.
that,
Yes.
I think that Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is like watching Kabuki theater now.
Oh, yes. That's
And
a
so
good analogy. Yeah.
I really loved, and what I love about New Jersey, honestly, Michelle, is that it's the only show where the relationships are actually real. They're not manufactured.
Really, you feel that way? Yeah.
Oh, well, they're family relationships. They're related. You can't
Yeah.
avoid it. Like they're family. So, even in New York, like Jill's Aaron and Bethany Frankel didn't know each other. They were introduced before the show. Like none of those
Okay.
people knew each other. So, although I love that show, but I'm going to start working on you on that. So just
But
be
don't you
prepared.
think? But
Get your
didn't like
defenses up.
But didn't like a lot of the Salt Lake City, like weren't they a lot of them connected with like via
Not
Heather?
really.
No?
No, not really. So like Jen was a client of Heather's,
Uh-huh.
remember? And then she knew Lisa like from a distance. What's her face too? Meredith, wasn't she? Meredith was also not Meredith, excuse me. Whitney. I'm Whitney Rose. Whitney Rose was a client of hers as well.
Okay, so they were all clients, like just different.
Yeah, there's no real like they didn't know each other. Like the cool
Okay.
thing about New Jersey is that their family relationships or the friends that are on there, like Teresa's or some of the friends that they've been friends with these people for like 20 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So like it's real and it's I think it's relatable, especially because of our ethnic backgrounds. I think it's very Boston. It's very familiar. It doesn't and you will see. I'll get you stuck in a car with me on our road trip and
Tell me though,
you'll see.
did they ever go have like, like did they have a stove, like a kitchen in the basement, and did they ever go down and have dinners there?
Well, these people have massive houses, Michelle. So
I know, but seriously, Maria, I can't tell you how many Italian
they
houses
make
I've
they
been
make
in.
oh no, like we have no, they my cousins in Saugus have it like that. They have a pizza oven on the first floor. Because it's cooler. But the people, I think that Teresa Giudice's family, I want to say that they made, was it pasta sauce?
Mhm.
They jarred massive amounts of pasta sauce in the garage.
Okay.
So they do some weird stuff. But I have to say, I'm really excited. I thought that this was a very cool, very interesting book.
Are you puffing something?
No, sorry, I was just like smacking my mouth. I'm not puffing anything. I promise you'll hear the coughing.
Okay.
But I'm excited because I feel like this book was, actually a worthwhile book. It was worthy of being published. I'm dying to see if that is true for our next book. So, do you know what our next book is?
No, tell me.
Oh my God, so excited. It is called Carry On Baggage. It is by the dynamic duo that was Cynthia Bailey and Peter Thomas. Peter's Brew. This Peter's Brew.
I think he's sexy as fuck.
I think he's incredibly handsome as well. We will talk about that. We will talk about our Peter Thomas issues on our next.
I got no issues.
Yeah, I got no issues either. I'm ready to consider opening up the Rinna book. I'll turn to page 114.
Yeah.
And give Peter's Brew a call.
Let's see.
Well, this was super
mine just
fun.
opens up automatically. You're going to give the infinite vagina. That's what you're going to give.
Yes, I'm going to give him the infinite vagina. That's what I'll make him call me. That's what I'm going to make him call me. This is all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a blast. We trolled those super shallow but always hysterical waters of Bravo Liberty Books.